Hey, welcome back. So I've been going down a rabbit hole of Reddit stories lately, and honestly, some of these are just too good not to share. We've got people making absolutely questionable decisions, family drama, relationship chaos, the usual. Grab something to drink, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Okay, first story. So this guy is 41 years old. His wife is 39. She doesn't work. He says she has a minor disability but doesn't qualify for disability benefits, so they live entirely off his salary. He says he doesn't mind supporting her financially. The problem is her spending. It started with her ordering takeout twice a week, then 3 times, then almost every day. Last month, and this is the number that got me, she spent $1,176 on delivery apps alone, in 1 month. Some days she ordered twice. And this is all while their fridge is constantly stocked. He does the grocery shopping, keeps the freezer full of things she only has to microwave. She just doesn't touch any of it. So on Friday, he pulled money from their savings, paid off the card, canceled it, then moved all the money from their joint account into his own account. His wife found out when she tried to order takeout and the card didn't work. She called the delivery company. They said the card was canceled. She texted him. He replied. She was cut off. When he got home that evening, she was lying on the floor, dramatically saying she had low blood sugar. He told her she could eat any of the food in their fridge or freezer. He also noticed she had taken the trash out, apparently for the first time in years, and he figured she was hiding the evidence of what she'd actually eaten while pretending to be too weak to function. She was furious all weekend. Was what he did over the top? But wait, there's an update. For the days that followed, his wife claimed he was financially abusing her. She threw tantrums. She threatened divorce. She threw food from the fridge in the trash to try to pressure him into letting her order again. She even tried to guess his bank account password multiple times, which is how he found out that if you try to guess someone's bank password enough times, the bank sends the account holder an automated email. Then things seemed to calm down. He thought she'd given up. Until garbage day. When he took the last bag out, he found fast food bags and takeout containers hidden in the trash. He had no idea how she was paying for it. He confronted her and she denied everything, until he physically brought the garbage back inside. Then she admitted it. She had taken out a payday loan. He drove her to the payday loan place and paid it off in cash. And then he told her they were getting divorced. Was he wrong? I don't even know where to start with this one. $1,176 on delivery apps in a single month while the fridge is full. And when he cut her off, her solution was to take out a payday loan, the most expensive form of borrowing available, so she could keep ordering food she could have gotten for free from her own kitchen. I actually think this is one of those stories where the update tells you more than the original post. Next one. This person is 20 years old, female, and she carries a USB killer in her backpack. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's a device that looks exactly like a regular USB thumb drive, except when you plug it into a computer, it sends a power surge through the USB port and instantly destroys the motherboard and power supply. The computer is dead, instantly. She carries it because she still lives at home and her parents are, in her words, super nosy. If she left it on her desk, they'd pick it up and plug it into their laptop to see what it is. She has a tiny devil face sticker on it so she knows which one it is. One day she had to leave campus in a rush and asked her friend, also a girl, 21, to watch her bag for a bit. She ended up not being able to come back, so she texted her friend to just take the bag home and she'd pick it up the next day. Friend said, sure. The friend gets home, admits she got curious and started looking through the bag. Finds the USB with the devil sticker, thinks it's just a regular drive, wants to see what files are on it, plugs it into her gaming PC, computer instantly dies, motherboard and power supply completely gone. Now the friend is furious and saying she needs to buy her an entirely new setup because she was reckless for carrying something like that. Even though the friend has admitted she was going through her bag without permission. Was the poster wrong? No. And I think the argument here is pretty simple. She labeled it, she stored it safely, and someone else went through her bag without permission and plugged a random drive she found in there into a computer. That's 2 separate bad decisions from the friend. The snooping, and the plugging in a random labeled USB drive without asking. You don't get to go through someone's bag and then be surprised when something in that bag is exactly what it looks like. Okay, this one's about the gym. So this person recently started running. They go to a gym that doesn't have a lot of treadmills. One night they went with their partner and all the treadmills were in use. They did some weight machines while they waited, then went back to check. When they checked, they noticed there was a girl just sitting on one of the treadmills. not running, not walking, just sitting on it while her friend used the treadmill next to her. She'd been sitting there for at least 15 minutes, not using it. So the poster went up and asked if she was planning to use it. The girl said she was just there with her friend. The poster said she could wait next to her friend's machine instead of taking up a treadmill from people who actually want to use them. The girl shrugged and refused to move. Then a woman came over and asked what was going on. It was the girl's mother. The mother said her daughter was fine sitting there and wasn't doing anything wrong. The poster said her daughter shouldn't be taking up equipment she has no intention of using. The mother said she could sit there if she wanted. And the poster said, and I thought this was kind of funny, "I can see where she gets her entitlement from." The mother said that was out of order. The poster said she should be a better parent if she couldn't handle any criticism. A staff member eventually came over, heard what was going on, and asked the girl to move or leave. His girlfriend said maybe he shouldn't have argued with the mother. Was he wrong? The treadmill part, completely reasonable. She was sitting on equipment she wasn't using for 15 minutes. That's just inconsiderate. The part where he told the mother he can see where the daughter gets her entitlement from, that was probably unnecessary, but also kind of understandable if she just jumped in defending her daughter sitting on a treadmill doing nothing. The gym staff agreed with him. That's usually the clearest sign of who's actually in the wrong here. Okay, next one. So this person is engaged. The plan was that once they get married, she'd move in with him, and then when they're ready for a family, they'd buy a house together. A house they'd pick out together. Then one day, her fiancé surprised her with their dream house. He bought it without her. He just found it, bought it, and surprised her. She says the house is beautiful, and if they had gone house hunting together, she thinks she would have fallen in love with it. But she was so upset that they wouldn't get to pick their forever home together that when he told her, she just started crying. She didn't know how to explain her reaction, could see she'd upset him, and asked him to take her home. When she got home, her family asked what happened. She explained. They were all upset with her and said her reaction was bad, and she should have been happy he bought them a house. They told her to call him and apologize. She didn't. She went to sleep. By the time she called him the next day, he sounded upset, either about her reaction or because she didn't reach out sooner. Was she wrong for how she reacted? This one I actually find kind of interesting because I understand both sides. On one hand, he bought her a house. That's a massive thing. On the other hand, they had a specific plan where they would pick it together, and he unilaterally changed that plan without talking to her. The house is beautiful, but the process mattered to her. She wasn't crying because she was ungrateful. She was crying because something she was looking forward to doing together was taken off the table. I think the reaction was honest. Whether she handled the aftermath well is a different question. Okay, this next one is spicy. This woman and her husband went to a new diner to celebrate his birthday. They invited the in-laws too. Throughout the entire meal, their waitress, who she describes as being in her early 20s, couldn't take her eyes off the husband and made what the poster describes as inappropriate comments. Then, when she brought the drinks, she leaned close to the husband and said, and this is the actual quote, "The sparkle of those eyes is igniting me." The poster confronted her right there at the table. The waitress smiled and walked away. When she got home, she left a very bad review. The next day, the manager called her, said the business was new and the review could hurt their reputation, and asked what it would take for her to remove it. She said she wanted consequences for the waitress. The manager called back to say she was fired. Then the waitress contacted her on social media, saying she'd ruined her life, that she might lose her apartment over it. Her in-laws said she overreacted and that this kind of thing happens too often at diners. Her mother-in-law said she must have done it because she was jealous of the waitress. Was she wrong? This one is controversial, and I can see why. The comment was inappropriate, saying, "The sparkle of those eyes is igniting me," to a customer while his wife is sitting right there is not a normal thing to say. On the other hand, getting someone fired over it, especially when they were direct enough to confront her right there, is a pretty significant consequence. I think the bad review was fair. Whether she needed to specifically request that the waitress be fired as a condition of removing it is where I'd pump the brakes a little. Okay, next one. So this person is a dog bather at a corporate salon. They make $11 an hour plus tips, usually around $10 to $25 a week extra. They have a regular customer who has several massive dogs, Pyrenees Akitas, about 130 pounds each. She gets a full de-shedding on all of them. They take the entire day, and they severely clog up the schedule. Normally, This customer compensated the poster for this. She used to tip $40 per dog. That's a significant tip for work that takes an entire day. Lately, she stopped tipping entirely. Just stopped. Still says she's very happy with the results. The poster says they understand. Prices are going up, the economy is difficult. But because of this, they quietly changed how they book her. Instead of taking all her dogs in one day, they started booking one dog per day, spread across the week. More inconvenient for the customer, but the poster says without the tip, they just can't justify the strain of doing all of them in one day. Their parents found out and are upset. Their mom used to be a mobile groomer and says if they could physically handle it when being tipped, they can physically handle it when not being tipped, and that changing the booking might drive the customer away. Was the poster wrong? I don't think so. Tips aren't mandatory, and the poster said they completely understand why the customer stopped. But there's a difference between routine grooming and doing hours of physically demanding de-shedding work on multiple massive dogs in a single day. The accommodation they were making for this customer, stacking all of them on one day, was essentially a favor enabled by the tip. Without the tip, they adjusted. That's a pretty reasonable response. Okay, this next one I kind of love. So this guy is 28, been dating his girlfriend Taylor, 26, for 3 years. When they first got together, he was just starting his own construction business. Taylor's friends constantly told her she needed to find a guy with a real job. Her family didn't like him because he wasn't making a lot of money at the time. Then, COVID happened. His business blew up. Home renovations were in massive demand, and he made enough extra money to finally buy himself a boat. He takes it out almost every weekend. His friends and family love it. But Taylor has been asking about bringing her friends. He originally said no. She kept asking. Last week, she asked if they could take the boat out for her dad's birthday. Her dad was his biggest critic the entire time he was building his business. He said sure, but they'd have to pay a rental fee. Him included as the driver since none of them have a boat license. She got upset. Said it was unfair since he doesn't charge his own friends and family. He said, those are the people who supported him. The people who supported him get free stuff. The people who didn't, don't. She called him an asshole. Was he wrong? This is one of those situations where I understand where he's coming from completely, but I also think he's going to pay for this in the relationship. The logic is clean, the people who believed in him get the benefits, the people who wrote him off don't. That's emotionally satisfying. But Taylor's been with him for 3 years and presumably she believed in him, so making her choose between him and her family is going to get complicated. That said, he's not obligated to take her dad on his boat for free. That part I fully get. This next one is short, but I really wanted to include it. So this person was shopping all day and realized they didn't have their debit card. They panicked. They needed it to pay rent. They retraced their steps and ended up at a store asking the cashier if they'd left their card there. The cashier said, "Nope, we don't have it." They turned to leave, devastated. Then the cashier said with a smile, "Ha, just kidding, I have it in the back." The poster was annoyed but didn't laugh. Just said, "Okay, thank you." The cashier then said, "It's a joke." The poster said, "I know." The cashier got the card from the back and returned it, then said they needed to try lightening up. And that made the poster angry. They replied, "Listen, I know it's a joke, but it was a stupid joke that wasn't funny, so I didn't laugh. You really need to work on your customer service." The cashier went red-faced and stunned. The poster walked out. Were they wrong? This one splits me. The joke was not a great joke to play on someone who's visibly stressed about a lost debit card. And telling a customer to lighten up is genuinely bad customer service. But the poster's response was also pretty sharp for what was ultimately a mildly annoying interaction at a checkout counter. I think both people said one thing too many here. All right, next one. So this person is 42 and has a younger sister, 35, who prides herself above everything else on being a great cook and homemaker. The one issue is, and I want to be clear, this is not just a matter of taste, she is genuinely unhygienic in the kitchen. Long hair always down while cooking, never washes her hands, lets her 5 dogs in and around the kitchen constantly. The poster has been declining dinner invitations for years with polite excuses, which has worked fine. But this time, it was a dinner to celebrate her husband's promotion. Couldn't get out of it. So they sit down at the table. The kitchen is open so they can see everything. And what they see? Hair down, large knit sweater, fingers going into pans and then being licked, a dog picked up mid-cooking and carried through the kitchen, and at one point the dog is set on the counter next to the cutting board, where the dog immediately starts eating the raw hamburger meat laid out there. The poster didn't eat, just made small talk. The sister noticed and asked why they weren't eating. The poster tried excuses, then gave in and said the truth. They were grossed out by how she cooks. They said calmly that she was unhygienic and they didn't want to risk eating food with hair in it or that she'd stuck her unwashed fingers into. The sister burst into tears at the dinner table. Said the poster worked extremely hard and was being insensitive. Then said the poster was probably just jealous because they were single with no kids. The poster said, "Get over yourself," and left. Now the sister and her husband have been texting, calling them an asshole. Was the poster wrong for being honest, she asked. And honestly, the "you're just jealous because you're single" response to "I didn't eat because your dog was on the cutting board eating the hamburger meat" is kind of revealing. That's not a normal counter-argument. The dog being on the counter with raw meat is just a fact. It happened. She saw it. It's not a judgment call. I think the "get over yourself" at the end was too much, but up until that point, I'm with the poster. Okay, next one. So this guy grew his beard out for about 9 months. He was really happy with how full it was. But a combination of his wife asking him to trim it and his newborn constantly grabbing and yanking on it convinced him it was time for a change. One night he decided to try a new style. Little to no beard, all mustache. He specifically says he admires a strong mustache. Tom Selleck, Henry Cavill, that kind of thing. His wife hates it. More than the beard. She's been nagging him constantly to fix it or shave it off. She's gone as far as hiding his Nintendo Switch, refusing to kiss him, and cutting off intimacy entirely. He told her clearly, he didn't shave it for her, he did it for himself. He feels good, he feels confident. He understands she's allowed to dislike it. But he says she's going too far, and he told her to get over it and stop being immature about what he does with his hair. Was he wrong? No, he's not wrong for keeping the mustache. His facial hair, his choice. But hiding someone's Nintendo Switch and refusing any affection over a mustache, that's a pretty significant reaction to a grooming choice. If she genuinely can't handle it, the conversation to have is, "I find this genuinely unattractive and it's affecting me more than I expected," not confiscating his gaming console. That said, telling her to "get over it" probably didn't help. Okay, one more. So this person works a 9-to-5 office job. Their coworker, who sits right next to them, has a habit of eating lunch at their desk every single day. Which is fine, except the food always smells extremely strong. We're talking fish, reheated curries, things with a lot of garlic. Every day. The smell fills the whole area. The poster finally said something after about 2 months of this. Very politely asked if maybe the coworker could eat in the break room, since the smells were pretty overwhelming in their shared space. The coworker got offended and said they had every right to eat at their own desk, and that the poster was being controlling about what other people eat. The poster brought it up with HR. HR said it was a gray area and basically didn't do anything. Now the coworker has stopped talking to them entirely, and other colleagues think the poster was out of line for going to HR over something like lunch. Were they wrong? I'm split on this one. Smells in a shared workspace are genuinely a real issue. You can't exactly leave when you're stuck at your desk and someone's reheating fish next to you every afternoon. At the same time, going to HR after one conversation without giving the coworker more time to respond is a pretty significant escalation. I think the original ask was reasonable. The HR move right after might have been a step too fast. All right, last one and then we're done. So this person, 23 years old, has been with their partner for about 2 years. Things have been going well overall. But lately their partner has started commenting on everything they eat. If they get a burger, that's a lot of calories. If they skip the gym one day, you said you wanted to get in shape. If they have dessert, a look. Not yelling, not a big dramatic thing, just constant small comments that add up. The poster finally sat them down and said these comments were making them feel bad about themselves, and they needed them to stop. The partner said they were just trying to be supportive and help them reach their goals. The poster said they never asked for that kind of support. The partner said they were being too sensitive and that if they were serious about their goals, they'd appreciate the accountability. The poster left the conversation feeling like they were the problem. Were they wrong for asking their partner to stop? No. There is a big difference between support and commentary on every single thing someone eats. Support is what you ask for. What's happening here is unsolicited monitoring, And doing it quietly with looks and small remarks is actually harder to push back on than an outright argument, because the person doing it can always say, "I'm just trying to help." The partner's response, "You're too sensitive. You'd appreciate it if you were serious," is a deflection, not an answer to what was actually said. Okay, one more quick one. So this person went to a family dinner at their parents' house. The whole extended family was there: aunts, uncles, cousins. At some point, the conversation turned to jobs and careers, and their uncle asked what they were doing for work. They explained they work remotely, do freelance design work, make decent money, pay their own bills, everything's fine. The uncle immediately started asking how that's a real job, said they should get something more stable, something with benefits, something they could actually count on. The poster said calmly that they were doing fine and appreciated the concern, but didn't need career advice right now. The uncle said he was just being practical. The poster said, "I know, but I didn't ask." The room went quiet. Their mom later pulled them aside and said they were rude and should have just let it go. The uncle hasn't brought it up again, but the overall vibe at the end of the dinner was pretty awkward. Were they wrong for saying that? No. "I didn't ask" is one of the cleanest responses to unsolicited advice that exists. They didn't insult him. They didn't get into an argument about whose job is better. They just named the reality of the situation, which is that nobody asked for his opinion on their career. The room going quiet doesn't mean they were wrong. It means people aren't used to someone actually saying it. All right, that's all the Reddit stories I've got for today. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe. More coming soon. See you next time.